Hello, beautiful loved ones, and welcome back to my channel. Today, we're going to talk a little bit more about dementia and my journey of caring for someone with dementia, my late fiance, John. So, as you peek into a little bit more about my personal experience with caring for someone with dementia, I just want to take this time on this video to outline what dementia is, and hopefully you guys can recognize symptoms early. If you might have questions about your loved one that may be acting a little bit different lately, personality changes kind of fits under that umbrella of dementia. Dementia in and of itself is not the disease. There are factors to um, dementia that you know um, that will give you an idea of what plays the part, like Alzheimer's, vascular dementia, Lewy body dementia, frontal lobe dementia. Um, Dementia is just basically categorized as memory loss by itself, but there are different forms of it. So it's just an umbrella term for memory loss and issues with the brain. So, memory loss, confusion, problems with planning and carrying out activities, short term memory loss, things like having a conversation with someone and forgetting what comes next or forgetting what we just discussed. Just that quickly, a person with dementia can forget the sentence that we just spoke about. So, those are some of the things that led me to understand that my fiance was struggling with issues with his brain. He was diagnosed with a mild stroke, and after that mild stroke, I learned that he had some frontal lobe damage. So they tagged it with the term dementia. And at that time, I just wasn't expecting that because once you have brain damage, to my understanding, it's irreversible. So I was not accepting that diagnosis. So he had frontal lobe damage from his stroke, which over time began to get worse because there was nothing that the neurologist could do. His primary care physician didn't even prescribe medication. It's just, this is just something they kind of sprung on me. And I tried to find out everything I could about dementia. And that's when I learned there's dementia with Lewy bodies and all kinds of things. So, memory loss is the biggest thing that most people recognize immediately. And then there's different steps to it. It may be a slow decline in the memory, and some people, it could be a vast decline. But with my personal experience, I learned that John's was pretty subtle at first. Over the first 2 years, it was just little subtle changes, and I would just be able to remind him, "Hey, you put your keys under the pillow instead of on the key rack," or he was still driving and doing things like that. So that's why I was not willing to accept the diagnosis of dementia because his personality had not changed at that point. So when I realized or was starting to realize or accept accept the reality of the vascular dementia um, of his frontal lobe, it was just by that time his personality had changed and he was becoming very irritable. And I thought it was me. I'm like, am I getting on your nerves? But he explained to me when he was lucid that it's just frustrating not being able to recall events, recall where he put his keys or whatever he was working on. He couldn't remember what he was doing from one minute to the next. So he's like, honey, it's just frustrating because I don't know what to do. Not what I was doing, I don't know what to do. So I can imagine that that could be very scary. That can be very scary. And just to let you guys know, for the ones that are just following me, just tuning in and didn't listen to the previous video, my fiance John passed away at the age of 53 with dementia. He was diagnosed at the age of 46, and I just I had a hard time accepting the diagnosis and prognosis. So for you guys that have a loved one, or maybe you have been diagnosed with that, the biggest thing that helped me get through it was accepting it, but not playing into it. What I mean by that is, okay, if John was having a bad day, we're going to make it a great day. He didn't see me cry or get frustrated if I needed a break, because now this is a person I don't know. When his personality began to change, this is a new person to me. I don't know this person that's throwing things across the room. I don't know this person that's banging on the bathroom door because he's afraid that I disappeared in there. I don't know the person that follows me around like a child and is asking for the next thing to do. So John was a police officer, very agile, very intelligent, very comical. He had just the funniest persona, just a great guy. And that didn't change with him being a sweetheart. It was just the frustration and the confusion and the personality change, meaning, just kind of a short fuse at times. So you're beginning to learn a new person. So I needed a break from that. I needed someone to step in to just give me a break to breathe and get to know this new person. I still loved him to the core of who he really was, and I had memory of who he was and what he's done for me and how he enriched my life. But now I'm caring for a stranger, it seemed at times. And I noticed what helped when I looked him directly in the eyes and I said, honey, it's me. And I would have to remind him, hey, it's me. And I would advise you to do that if you're caring for your loved one. Look them in the eyes and pause for a moment and say, it's me. And then give them a second to focus in, and that typically helps. And no one told me that. Everything I'm telling you today was trial and error. And I wouldn't add to his frustration. I wouldn't try to take things away from him as if he was a toddler. I would just catch him in the eyes and look just dead center in his soul and say, hey, it's me. And while he's looking at me and focused on my eyes, I'll take whatever, if it was a knife or whatever, I'll take it from him and, situation diverted. No issue. So, again, I'm going to bring up points every day. And then I'm going to discuss my experience with that. And I noticed that also the stress of understanding his condition. John was under a lot of stress, and I had a issue at first with thinking about me and how I'm going to deal with it, because I was in a car wreck and I had my own major health issues to deal with. Again, I was in a car accident and I was in the hospital every month, sometimes every other month. Medication, dealing with pain 24/7 and having people care for me physically. I had to care for him emotionally. But I just advise any caregiver, regardless if you're physically able, emotionally able to deal with it, step outside the box and remember this person understands at times when they're lucid that they have a pretty grim prognosis. And they're faced with the fact every day that this could be worse today, I can decline today. And try to get them to realize that if you're here today, we're going to make today a great day. If you get frustrated, I'm in this fight with you, and don't further frustrate them, because they're going to sound like they're in their right mind at times. And what I mean by right mind, they're going to sound like they're cognizant enough to understand what you may be saying and why you're expressing your feelings and views about how you feel about the situation. Oh, I'm frustrated too. Just because you're sick, it doesn't mean that I don't experience it. Never do that. If you feel yourself getting to that point, it's time to give the keys to someone else and let them drive the vehicle for today. If you cannot do that, there are resources in your area that can help you with the respite and or putting them in a group home maybe 3 days out of the week. Even though I had to pay for a full month when I got to the point when I was having another surgery, I had to put John in a group home. You keep him for 3, I'll keep him for 4, just to give me that break. But if you gotta take the full payment, it's not about the money. Take the full payment. I want my loved one in home with me, so he'll feel safe and secure. He doesn't think I'm just dropping him off and just forgetting about him. Because the most heartbreaking scenario that I can tell you about, and I'm getting a little off subject here, but I feel the need to interject this. There was one time when I had to take John to a group home, and he stood in the door, and he said, "I'm not leaving until you come back and get me." And he called me Mama. And I looked at him, I said, "Hey, it's me, it's Sandy." And he said, "I'm not leaving until," and from my understanding, he stood there all day. So I had to come back and get him that night because I don't know if it was just stubbornness or just him remembering that I'm coming back. So be prepared for the unthinkable at times. Build a community around yourself. I'm going to be producing these videos. I have a Facebook page, Early Onset Dementia Support. Inbox me or email me here. Drop a comment or a question below. I'm here to help you guys because I didn't have this help back in 2014 to 2018. I did not have that help, and I wish I did. There were days that I didn't know how to care for myself because I felt like I'm with a complete stranger that can harm me at any moment. So just bear that in mind. Be good to yourself, and I will see you guys on the next video. God bless you. Rest up. Good vibes to you all. Thank you.